Sorry.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Western Mass Comedy Group. Stay in the loop, you snoop. I'm Ezra Pryor. We got Jason Gallagher, other co-founder of this organization, and Ryan, who's reading the Mask comic book. We're going to be talking about the movie The Mask later on. But right now, Jason has something to address. He doesn't want to, but it
Yes.
just must be said. And we apologize, but we're just going to get through it. Jason, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've been going through the servers, looking at the emails, and I noticed the same IP address was on our backup server. And so when I did a little research, I found that they've been using it to mirror a remote host. And I have a theory that they're using, let me see, hypersonic microwave emissions, and they use these emissions to explode the spacebar on my controller, this controller here. So what happened
Oh my God.
was, yeah, what happened was, the spacebar, which is right here, which was like on the floor near my foot, one of the microwave emitters, I think from like the Wi-Fi, exploded the spacebar and stopped the recording. So we have like 5 minutes from the last episode, and it's because Huffington Post knows that we are talking about them, and they're afraid.
Yep.
So if anything, we need to double down on our attacks on the Huffington Post, and it's
Must be getting close,
that's
right?
exactly right. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
I
for
reset
an
the
organization.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Hot on the trail, as
Yeah,
it were.
yeah, I'm on to them. I have the evidence. And yeah, I'll put together the document for you guys and email it to your respective encrypted emails, because clearly their hackers are quite proficient.
Yeah, I mean, for an organization that claims to value the truth so much, they're certainly going out of the way to silence yours to the point of, you know, they might have figured out this technology just to explode your spacebar. That's how much they're coming after us.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
People die in
yeah.
explosions all the time. You were
Yeah.
lucky this time, but maybe it was because they wanted you to live to tell the tale. They
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
they say Huffington Post always leaves one alive to tell the tale.
That's right. They're like the Mexican cartel cutting off heads and leaving them on fence posts. That's what they do.
But with
That's what they're
space
doing to
bars.
Jason, basically, or trying to. That's what they would do to Jason if he wasn't, you're exactly right. We have to speak up to it. So in case something happens, say what if my mouse were to explode and I was to lose my right hand, but you had never said this, then people wouldn't know that this kind of attack is possible and that it very likely will occur to us again in the future, as much as we try to keep those pesky HuffPost scammers out of there. I wonder how much they pay those guys to do that work.
The
Yeah.
very hand with which you sinned against the Huffington Post. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judas. Judas. Huffington Post is the Judas of journalism, but people are too scared to say it because they'll take you out. But honestly, I'm willing to die for the cause of just taking out the HuffPo myself if I have to. I'd strap a bomb to myself chest for sure.
That's
Too
that's that.
far? Too far?
No, man, I admire your dedication.
Commitment. Your commitment to the
Commitment.
That's
bit
driving me
is
nuts.
total.
The
I wouldn't be
extremism.
saying stuff. I wouldn't be saying stuff like that if they hadn't emailed it to me first, saying the same kind of shit themselves about how, they allude to it very vaguely, but I know what they're saying. They're saying we're looking for people who are willing to go the extra length and risk their lives for a cause. So that's what the Huffington Post is doing, and I'm just, oh,
I'm
I'm tired, you
flabbergasted.
guys. Can we talk about something else? The Huffington Post got me all mixed up. I'm sorry about that, Jason. He's been in control of all the emails. He's been saving Ryan and us. Ryan and I would have been going insane if it wasn't for the moral fortitude of Jason. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, it's my duty and my honor.
Yeah. And I marked them all as, I don't know what you're doing with the emails. I feel like it's all just nonsense now. So I've marked them all spam. So I might not even, unless they make a fake email account, which they probably will, but I'll deal that when I get to it. Otherwise, I'm out the game in the email thread.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I should just
Yeah.
block all communications across the. I've been open-minded, and I think that's the problem. I used to speak up for the Huffington Post when you would go off on these conspiracy theories about them. I said, I think that Ezra is taking things a little too personally, and maybe this is more about Ezra than it is really about the Huffington Post. But
I get it.
given
Sure.
given the
I get it.
latest affronts on our
Yeah.
institution.
Well, you think with the big seizure stroke I had and having posted it online and gotten all those support from you guys, thank you, that
Hmm,
they would like put the foot on the brake for a minute and say, like, let's, politics aside, let's let Ezra regroup. And here we are talking about him again. So it sucks that they make us have to talk about him,
it
and
does, yeah.
we're sorry, but thank you, Jason. I appreciate, you know,
My pleasure.
being the buffer. That being said, we got some cool breaking news stories. I want to get your guys' reacts to it. So let me tell you what about this section. I've read these news articles, and I haven't told these two, Ryan and Jason, what the news article is. And
Honest
no rush or
reactions.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to get some reacts. I want to get some reacts. Okay, so there's a photo of this guy. He's wearing I don't know if it's actually the photo of him. In the photo, he's wearing white pants, white suit top, regular astronaut type looking gear, and he's flying in the sky on a jetpack. I don't think this
Oh,
is a photo of the actual guy, but
Is this
air
this is a news item, or
airplane
you're just gonna
pilots.
describe a photograph?
I actually
I
know
already did.
exactly the news article.
Oh,
Okay.
damn
I
it.
I
Well,
read about this too.
anyways, maybe Ryan hasn't heard that airplane pilots have reported seeing a guy in a jetpack flying 3,000 feet in the air above Los Angeles.
Two different airplanes actually reported it.
Apparently, he doesn't have a license to do this, and the
Yeah.
FBI is now looking for him.
Do they give licenses to do that? Can you get a
Well, I
jetpacking
don't know. He's in
license?
trouble for doing it.
You got to be pretty rich just to
Probably.
get your hands on a jetpack, unless he stole it, which I wouldn't put past him.
I don't think you're allowed to just because of airway travel and safety concerns. I wouldn't stop a guy in a jetpack, but if the FBI is looking for him for doing such a thing,
They probably
they should
waited
just,
until he landed to stop him. They just got him out of the air. They're like, "Excuse
yeah.
me."
You can't have a good time nowadays without the FBI coming to try to track you down just for flying 3,000 feet above the ground in LA.
That's true.
Over an airport.
Fascists.
So, what do you guys think the punishment would be if the FBI does find this guy? What do you think the punishment would be? I would like to think he would have to give a seminar about how he learned the hard way, how it's not cool to jetpack.
How high up in the air was he?
3,000 feet, dude. That's almost a mile. That's impressive, too.
He should have to live 3,000 feet underground for a year. Is his
That's
punishment?
too harsh. That's too harsh. I can totally see him at like a children's seminar, like, "Hey kids, don't get high."
Nice, nice. That's what's called a pun, you guys. We got three funny guys. We might get a few puns here.
You're listening to a comedy podcast.
What if this guy was like, like the Joker type level, like, or like a serial killer, where like he wants to get noticed and he times it apart. Like maybe it'll be like because it's California, the Zodiac killer. Except people are just like, oh my god, he's gonna strike. He's gonna be 3,000 feet in the air.
He'd be like a modern Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
Or am I thinking of Spring
I
Heel
only say
Jack?
it.
Yeah.
Spring Heel Jack.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a band too, isn't it?
I'm sure it is, yeah. Good
Okay.
old Spring Heel Jack. He there's evidence of this guy in like some village in the 1800s. Um, it might have even been like just one cottage, but this guy was like jumping like 15 feet like from building top to building top, and they claim that they saw like burnt hoof patterns in like the places where he landed.
That's cool. So it's like a urban myth kind of deal.
Yeah, like
I always believed that the urban myth actually happened. I bet that happened fully and is a literal story.
yeah, it's like a cryptozoology thing, which is fun.
That reminds me, we're gonna have our snake facts section later on, fan favorite. Uh, I don't know. We used to do 5 snake facts, but we've been getting we've been improving at talking about snakes. So our snake facts go a little bit longer because we really get into them.
Snake facts.
Snake facts coming later.
Longer
For
than
right
even a
now,
snake.
yeah, I want to talk more about this guy in the sky flying high
Mm-hmm.
to the FBI saying "nigh." Do you guys think you could see him from the ground, 3,000 feet up? Like you go like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" And your friend would just be
What is he?
like, "I think it's a
What is he
bird," and the
wearing
other one would be
again?
like, "No, I think it's a what?"
He's wearing white pants. Is that what you said? He's got
I don't know if it's actually the photo of him. I don't think it is. I don't think they
like
got
a
a photo
stock
of
Yeah,
him.
photo.
that was a
It would
stock
depend
photo.
on what
Yeah,
he's wearing, right?
they don't have him on camera. They need to find him. Although I guess they might not be able to identify him even if he was on camera, because I think they do have to wear face masks and stuff. Jetpackers, that is, right?
Dude, it's got to be scary, especially in a jetpack. An unproven technology could just, poop out at any time. I don't know how much he.
At that height too.
I don't know how much he
Yeah.
tested it. I mean, how much can you really test a jetpack? If I've learned anything from movies, it is both hilarious and problematic. Testing out jetpacks.
One thing
I
that
still
I'll
remember
say,
the lesson. I remember the lesson. One of the first lessons my mom taught me was don't test a jetpack, son.
that's great advice. I wish I had listened to my mom
But
about that.
yeah, you got all mangled up.
I'm covered in
We,
jetpack
you know,
scars.
you know the old saying about young
Jetpack
men
story.
listening to their mothers about jetpacks.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Always,
true too.
yeah.
But I
Oh, a
think
parent can only do so much.
it sounds like California is just turning into one big Burning Man. Like, what is more Californian than like a guy just flying in a jetpack over the airport, like the LAX airport? Like, that feels so perfectly post-apocalyptic within like the biome that is California, because it's like Silicon Valley nerds and
Yeah.
shit. I mean, stuff's going wild
Um.
out there. All the fires and all the comedians and actors are moving away because the industry's dried up.
See, this is all stuff I didn't know, and you might not have known if you didn't tune in to Western Mass Comedy
Snake
Group. Stay in the loop,
facts.
you snoop. We're not drying up though. We're not like those LA big shots,
That's right.
and they're. You guys think like it'll be like a bank robbery and like they'll offer money to come forward and this guy has friends and they'll you think he might get snitched on?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Uh,
Where'd you get the jetpack?
yeah,
Yeah.
like it sounds like he's testing some shit because like I don't think jetpacks are supposed to go at that altitude, you know?
I think we'll find out he was like a janitor or something for Wayne Enterprises or some other fictitious jetpack making company.
That makes sense.
Who made the
I feel
Jetsons jetpacks? They seem to work pretty well. This could
Probably
be
a
a jet.
Sprocket
fictional though.
subsidiary.
Good answer.
I I don't think he had friends because otherwise there would be someone up in the sky with him with another jetpack because clearly this guy has enough money to afford one jetpack and at that when you're at jetpack money level you have 2 jetpacks because you got a friend. So maybe this is this guy's only way of feeling good about himself.
I used
Yeah,
to. If Ryan has something to say, then go ahead because I was gonna point something out about the Jetsons. I'll just say it. My theory is that the Jetsons and the Flintstones take place at the same time, and that the Flintstones are on the surface of the Earth, and that's why all like the middle class and wealthier people live like in the sky because it's like dinosaurs and Neanderthal like people roaming
I
the
love
landscape.
that. That's a great theory, and
I
I immediately buy into it and agree with it. I'm in.
I do too.
Yes.
You should submit that as a world and like do one of those cool things where you take a goofy cartoon idea and like turn it into a conceptual piece because that sounds like it's got like a whole master slash who was here first, the Flintstones or the Jetsons, and they would have
Like
to learn to get
Metropolis.
along.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to learn to get along, I feel.
Yeah, or the classic the time machine where the gorgons, right? Gorgonzolas, and then the people on the surface uh that get eaten by them. Gorgons.
Yeah. I would I would want to be one of the people under the surface because only the good die young, know what I'm saying?
If I had to choose a post-apocalypse to live in, I would definitely go with the Zardoz universe.
How about you, Ryan? Would yours look like a Repo Man? Just trying to get some scrap metal from a car so you can afford some time to be alone and think over your emo existence.
That wouldn't be bad. I would want like a big old car for sure in the apocalypse, like a Lincoln or something, and it would have chains on it, I guess,
Like just
and
dragging behind it.
yeah, some kind of skull or teeth on the front, and I think in the future there's going to be a big pressure to Mad Max your car and your wardrobe up a little bit. Like if you got like a regular car,
Yeah.
your friends are going to be like, "Hey man, we're going to a cool part of town. You got to put like a skull or some feathers or
A
I don't know,
tire.
some spikes, something like that some human faces maybe. It
You
might be
just
a
like
little,
wear a face on your face.
yeah. Shriek.
Yeah.
Hey man, you wanna when we go into the city, I want you to shriek a little bit, like every couple of minutes, just to scare everybody, make them know that you're a radioactive cannibal as well. Because in the future, every 9 out of 10 people are going to be radioactive cannibals, and if you want to go out to a bar or a restaurant, you're going to have to fake it. Some of us are going to have to eat the flesh of our irradiated brothers and sisters just to fit in, and then ironically, we will become irradiated.
The Huffington Post will have no problem with that. They'll go along with that happily, eating up their brothers and sisters. That is,
Peer pressure is
yeah.
toxic.
You know what car I want in the apocalypse? You're making me think of your description. I want specifically the Dragula. You know the car Rob Zombie drives in the song Dragula? Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slay 'em in the back of my Dragula.
Dragula.
That
It's
song is about
Yeah.
the car from the Munsters. That the
Is
grandpa
it?
Dracula has a car. Yeah.
I like how he just talks about killing witches, like like that's still okay to say.
Rob Zombie doesn't have like narrative songs,
He's
where like with
awesome.
like a beginning, the middle, and an end.
yeah, he doesn't. That would be funny though.
He's from Boston, isn't he? Isn't he from Boston?
He's from Plymouth, I think, somewhere around there.
He actually got to
Yeah.
start doing stage design for the Pee Wee Herman show.
Oh, dope. Yeah, he's like a quiet, reserved guy. Like I saw him on Joe Rogan. It's like there's a parallel to the Marilyn Manson where these guys like sound all evil, but for some reason their imagination is just in that spot. But they're really nice guys. But yeah, Rob Zombie's. I want a Dragula. I don't know if there's a picture of the actual Dragula online,
Yeah, there. I
but I
mean,
remember.
it was from a TV show, so there must be.
I hate to be that guy, but it is pronounced Dragula and not
That's
He he says
Dragula.
Dragula though. He says Dragula.
No, he says
He says Dragula.
Dragula. It's Romanian.
Dragula. It's
Look,
the Dragul.
here's a photo of Dragula for $75.
The photo is
Get it.
$75.
Yeah, the photo is because it's signed by the actor who played Herman Munster.
Oh, that's fair.
Is it the eBay purchase? Or you could buy action
Uh,
way of it. Dragula.
I
Dragula.
love it.
Yeah.
Sounds
Anything
like a
vampire
scary kind of
oriented.
spaghetti.
yeah,
All I
yeah.
know.
It's got eyeballs instead of meatballs in it. Sorry, Ezra. Go ahead.
What the fuck are we talking about? I like we have such good conversations, but I know we started off with Rob Zombie, went into Dragula.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
got
started with
yeah.
oh, we were talking about how California is a post-apocalyptic hellscape.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
it is. It is. Is it? Hey, is it still on fire all the time? Like, did those fires ever stop?
Yeah, it
I
hasn't gotten
read
any
I read
less
that
fiery.
I read that insurance companies are starting to want to not insure the areas that are on fire a bunch of the time. And on one level, you can respect an insurance's company from a business standpoint to not want to insure land that's on fire all the time. But that sucks because it's surely no fault of the affected area either.
Well, maybe all the homeless
Yeah, but
people
that's
should
what
go live
insurance is
there.
for.
Not like to die in a fire, but like if like you can't get insurance and it's just like land that no one can use, like I mean, there's a serious homelessness problem out there. Like the weather's nice enough that you can go homeless like year long and be pretty decently set. But yeah, I mean, like just build some fucking longhouses like Indian style. That sorry, Native American style longhouses. Um,
You heard him, California. Get on it,
yeah, Cali. If you can't
Get some
insure it,
Cali.
turn it into homeless
Um,
territory.
it is like a country of its own, though, and it is a country of its own. Uh, I wouldn't want to live in one of the places. I don't know if it's like the places that every year go up in flames, the same like with like the the hurricane and tornado alley. Like if there's like a regular strip that gets lit on fire, and they're like, you guys should just move. We're not going to insure you anymore.
And they're just
Your
like,
house keeps
fuck
on going up
you.
in flames. This is the fourth time your house has gone up in flames. I don't know. Uh, Also, a guy in a jet, just random ideas. Like that guy in the jetpack, he could cut, and he's in California. He could start a whole new forest fire accidentally. That's what I was thinking. If he went up in a dry, deciduous area, he could help us with with the problem of California and how to get rid of it through flames. Yeah.
Wow.
No.
How fast can a jetpack go, do you think?
I'm
Like a
guessing
full
like
jet?
maybe 80 hours per mile, miles per hour, hours per mile,
10 miles per hour.
80 hours per mile.
Hours. You just bent back the time space continuum, baby.
Yeah, I did. I grabbed it by the
Yeah, you did.
earlobes and wrapped it around its own face.
That's right. You're real rough. You're real rough with the space time continuum.
I mean,
I'm looking up how fast a jetpack can go.
I'm trying to look it up too, and it's my search is being thwarted by some stupid Verizon
Well,
product that is
46
called.
miles per hour. It can go 46 miles per hour.
That's pretty fast. Let's get
And it
one.
can only go up to three. It can actually only go up to 3,000 feet. So that guy, that guy would have gone higher, but
so just
they
out of
haven't made.
curiosity, I figured I'd see if they had 3D printed jetpacks because who the fuck would like get in a 3D printed jetpack? That just seems extremely treacherous. But apparently
Yeah,
the world's fastest jetpack as of 2019 was a 3D printed one. That's what the New York Post has to say, anyhow.
that's crazy. I've never seen a 3D printer. I can like wrap my head around it, but it just feels kind of foolish at some point to not just build it instead of print it.
This article says pilots report mysterious man with jetpacks flying near planes. I wonder if they're just saying that it was mysterious that he was flying around in the sky, or if there was something else, like he was wearing a big floppy hat and dark glasses as well.
Well, they made it sound like he was real close to the planes because one of the pilots was reported saying, "I just saw a guy in a jetpack go by." So maybe it was like real close.
Yeah, it wasn't like
The
an
pilot was like, "Was that
unidentified.
a fucking guy in a jetpack?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Two pilots reported it.
Can you fucking imagine flying in a
They both
jetpack? How
said
cool would
guy
that
in
be?
jetpack.
If it was like an old time movie, there'd be like a guy in the back row, and he's like drinking like a cocktail, and then he looks out the window and sees the guy go by, and he's like, "No, thank you."
Yeah.
You got to write that down. That's good.
Yeah, we
All we need to
gotta.
film that is a jetpack.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that if you set a movie on an airplane or a train, then like you effectively only need one set the entire movie. So we could totally do
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
a
Yeah,
comedy film that's set on an airplane, and it would cost us like just like the money for the one set.
yeah.
I saw
No,
Money
that's
Plane the
awesome.
other day. It's really
That's
stupid.
smart because we can't like afford to rent spaces and go in places. So yeah, I think it makes the writing better too because it becomes less scene reliant and has to be like more focused in the present.
Hmm. Of course, we're competing with like
Um,
Airplane
yeah,
and
it
Snakes
would
on a Plane.
snakes on a plane. That's yeah, two pilots went right by this guy. Can they go forward too, or can they only go up?
I think my camera just went
Yeah,
off.
I lost you guys.
We lost Ezra.
I lost you.
Ryan. That's weird.
Ryan, where'd Ryan go?
Okay,
We lost him.
I'm gonna stop the recording for a second.
Oh no, don't leave me here.
Technical difficulties. I'm not gonna leave you. I'm just
Don't
gonna stop the.
leave. Sorry about that. Doesn't really matter though. We finished talking about jetpacks. You guys want to do a snake fact before we head
Snake
into our discussion of the mask snake fact?
Yes.
Ryan, can I get a snake fact?
Snake facts.
Snake facts.
There we go. Snake fact.
Snake facts.
All right. Snake. Yeah, you should do that every now and then too. All right, here we go. Here we go. You guys ready? You ready?
Yeah, baby.
Because the snakes. All right. No, I don't want to do that snake fact. Hold on. Snakes. Some people, they think about. This is my preface, by the way. Some people, they assume snakes just drink water like everyone else does. But let me tell you what. Snake fact number 28 disagrees. It says snakes do not lap up water. Huffington Post, like most mammals do. Instead, they dunk their snouts underwater and use their throats to pump water into their stomachs. That's kind of gross, isn't it? What do you guys think about that?
Sexy.
I mean, they don't have
Sexy?
lips, so I guess that's what they're just doing what they gotta do. I hate
It
it.
just pumps in, yeah. It's
I
like a
definitely
sump
hate
pump.
it. Like their whole body is just like, like yeah.
Yeah. A big gross sump
It makes
pump.
sense.
Sorry, snakes. Gross.
That's when they're most vulnerable. I mean, if they've got their head underwater,
Probably.
like that's probably the time to strike if you're on a snake hunt.
Yeah, I just think the Huffington Post has been like saying that snakes just drink water like that for so long that it's good to cover that too. It is kind of gross though. It probably is when they're most vulnerable. Snakes have to be on point every going like that. Like, could you imagine how distracting it would be to breathe water through your nostrils? Sounds rough.
Yeah. Snake
Yeah.
facts.
So, snake facts. That was a good snake fact. You guys have anything else to say about that snake fact?
I like that in the process of drinking, the snake becomes a straw.
Right. Right. Then you could use the snake to drink with, and it would be an extra hydrating straw, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Extra juice. Yeah.
Extra
Throw
juice.
a little extra juice
Get
on
some
there.
extra snake juice.
Snake
out of
juice.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if that was like saving placenta? You know how hippie moms do that? They save the placenta and eat it.
Yeah.
We should start doing literal snake oil pitch. Snake juices boost the immune system.
And then it turns out
What do you
that we've
guys-
been selling people snake sperm, and then they're all mad. And then we say like, well, what did you think snake oil was? It was just like we were trying to protect your feelings. Nobody was gonna buy our snake jizz in bottles.
Yeah, that's just the polite way to say it.
Yeah.
Snake oil.
We're trying to preserve their modesty. Just trying to preserve their modesty.
And if we're being honest, it wasn't all snakes either.
You talking about Jeff? We fired Jeff. We fired Jeff.
Sneaking his own semen in with the snake oil.
Jeff, God, can we not talk about Jeff? He's already
Yeah, I
gotten
know.
way too much
Uh,
attention. You know, he was loving the whole court dynamic. You know, with his mother weeping,
oh,
the lawyer like saying Jeff is a good kid. He only got mixed up in this
yeah,
snake oil business because he's got a big old boner for snakes, and it's not his fault that his boner's so big when it
yeah.
comes to snakes.
Excuses,
Heartfelt courtroom
excuses. Yeah.
speech, like Atticus Finch.
Jeff always had an excuse for his snake. He did. Jeff was always making excuses for his snake. That's what we had to get rid of
And
him.
look where it's gotten him.
That's why we were always calling him the serpent pervert.
The snake juicer.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to what you guys want to do. One more snake facts. I'm feeling this.
Snake facts.
Snake fact. All right. A snake's fangs. Huffington Post has been telling you that snakes have the same fangs their whole life. I don't think they researched that really. Because a snake's fangs actually only usually last about 6 to 10 weeks. When the fang wears out, a new one grows in its place, though, so that's good.
Yeah, that's a relief.
I've been finding all those snake teeth, and I've just been picturing like helpless old snakes that can't bite anything, gumming their prey.
I'm picturing how,
Oh,
like, if it was an RPG, you would
awful.
pick up the snake fangs and then use them to craft it into, like, fish hooks and syringes and stuff.
I was thinking you find the snake teeth, you grind them up into a fine powder, and mix it up with like deer's blood, and then put it in a spoon and freebase it, and you live forever. That's where my mind
Easy
went.
there, witchcraft.
Yeah.
Dig through the ditches and burn through the. It would be more polite to say bitches instead of witches there nowadays. That's my take on that.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm neither a witch or a bitch.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you, and I would never talk to a witch or a bitch that way. No, I don't. Whatever.
Gorlock. That could be a Rob Zombie thing. Gorlocks.
What's that?
It's like a warlock, but with gore.
Oh, yeah, they, like, control blood.
Oh,
They're all like,
Yeah.
and then, like, your intestines just come out of your stomach and strangle you.
Yeah, like a Guar thing or a Hellraiser. Some kind of Cenobite.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Well,
On a
this is why
plane.
we need to get Rob Zombie on. Yeah. Gorlocks. You want me to
Satan's
write
on a
that
plane.
down so we can?
Probably not worth writing.
I'm gonna write
No,
down
I got it.
Gorlocks. That's worth continue. That's worth looking into.
He's a Gorlock. What does that mean?
He's a Gorlock.
You'll see.
You'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly.
It could be a Rob Zombie
I was
song.
picturing that when they kill you, they drink your blood, and then the blood drains up into the horns. That's pretty cool,
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. That's right. I'm no Gorlock, but if I was, that's what I would do. I would drain their blood and make sure that it showed
So what?
in my
What we
horns.
should call our fans, like, good evening, Gorlocks.
Gorlocks. It's a compliment too.
That is a
It
good.
means you don't
that's a
take
good
no
one.
shit. If you a Gorlock, you don't take no shit. You get the horns. If you mess with a Gorlock, you get the horns. All right, you guys want to talk about The Mask, the movie we chose for this
I think
week?
we have to.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I think we do. We don't want to, but we gotta. No, I kind of want to. So we chose The Mask, starring Jim Carrey.
I think it's worth repeating that this is an adaptation of a very violent graphic novel
That explains a
Do you
lot.
want to?
that is made
You want to start by
more palatable.
Want to start by talking about that?
It's so I was reading it earlier. This is the Mask, and it is only in the beginning about the character of Stanley Ipkiss, who's super unlikable and thinks about murdering all the people who are mean to him. And when he gets the mask, he uses it to get some really bloody revenge on them, which they sort of sanded a lot of the edges off for this movie. But also, I remember this movie as being, I was obsessed with it when I was 9 years old. Did either of you guys see this in the theaters originally?
I never saw it in theaters, but I absolutely adored the film when it was on tape.
Yeah,
what about you,
anything
Ezra?
Jim Carrey, like anything with Jim Carrey, I was into. It was I just remember feeling like I know you're supposed to be weirded out by the mask, so I was weirded out by the mask, which doesn't mean I was into it. But he's definitely, yeah. They took off the edges a bit, but every time I see him in those in the movie, I'm like, oh, he'd murder me with no problem in every scene. You know,
Yeah, he
I
does
had
some dark
never
shit.
I had never
he
seen
does.
the graphic novel when I first saw the movie, so I haven't seen this movie in about 20 years. I thought that it was going to be way more sanitized than it actually was. I was surprised at how unhinged and scary Jim Carrey actually comes off in this movie,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
the times when he's not wearing the mask are relatively they're trying to sort of shoehorn in this romantic story in a otherwise story about absolute power and mental illness, probably.
Well,
yeah,
Cameron Diaz was just stunning. Absolutely, just a gorgeous bombshell knockout. Just wow. Um, and I feel like her character, like she kind of stands up as like a sort of like femme fatale, like she's so soft and so sweet, but like she's still got that edge, and I think that's kind of funny. I especially because like the other female character betrays Jim Carrey. So both female characters betray like someone. Like Jim Carrey gets fucked, and then the bad guy, she like tricks him into taking his mask off. No, I'm not. No, I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm not
yeah.
trying to.
One thing that I found very apparent in this movie was the 1990s obsession with 1940s era swing.
Yeah,
Hell
That's
yeah.
probably the thing that comes across the most dated in this movie, is how the entire thing is trying to be like all Zoot Suit Riot, and it
yeah.
comes across weird.
Super weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I doubt there was really any like pondering upon the, like some of the lines, like they call the downtown area, yeah, so I said classic movie vibes but not actually classic, you know like there's the shitty car that's like it would look beautiful, it was like chromed up and stuff, but it's a piece of shit. But yeah, like there's like racial weirdness about going downtown where they're like, let's go down to the jungle, the urban jungle, and drink some. I don't know. It was a little weird.
Urban jungle. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
bad. That's
yeah. There's
problematic.
like some lines in there that are just like, what the fuck. Uh,
I liked the Zoot Suit Jazz part of it, and it kind of makes sense because the mask, when he puts on the mask, he's like his main thing is he's like eccentric and egotistical and kind of likable, and that's kind of what Zoot Suit music is like, you know.
I
You want
think
to
I
tell
have
it?
a pretty strong argument when I say that the mask is a metaphor for cocaine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it could. I feel like yeah, the effects of cocaine do the same kind of make you feel godliness as the mask does, because basically yeah, both are like very highly egotistical drugs, which is like why Jim Carrey's character, the transition is so uh severe, because he goes from like a modest unsuccessfully dating guy to straight up pimp. What you got? Right, he's because
Hmm.
he wins her over as the mask and as himself, but then later on, like when he like comes out from behind that bush and like acts, he's like, I'll be both, and she's like, nah. uh,
Yeah. He's actually
yeah,
pretty rapey when he has the mask on.
yeah, yeah, he should stick with just himself, I think.
What
Well, I
did you
think it's
guys
supposed to be like his inner he's so shy normally, and so the mask, not unlike cocaine, gives him the confidence to really be a huge aggressive asshole. That's sort of,
Yeah.
I think, the hidden message is that the mask is who he thought would be cool because it was the opposite of him, but actually, despite his hot dance moves and fancy duds, the mask is insufferable.
Oh yeah, he's an absolute monster.
You don't
Um
want to hang out with the mask.
Yeah,
He's like the
you
cat
don't.
in the hat.
It feels like
yeah,
they missed an opportunity where like you know, the when Jim Carrey's wearing the mask, like he's like watching cartoons and shit, and so it makes perfect sense for the whole motif to be like, you know, whoa, wooga, like, you know, like all that kind of shit. But then like the
Yeah.
gangster, he wears the masks and he does like some cartoon shit too. Like he chews up the bullets and spits them back out, you know, and like I feel like they should have made him more of like Scarface, like power fantasy kind of shit, rather than like cartoon stuff to make the mask sort of be more of like an expression of the id of the person wearing it, rather than just you know, the same outcome.
Yeah.
I would have liked to
Well,
see
like
the
the
mask on
version
more
of the
people.
I
he
always
sounds
felt
like
like
a
that
school
too.
he sounds like a school shooter in the original comic book, like bitter at everybody. Right? Didn't you say that in the comic book?
Yeah, he's
Like if you
misogynistic. As soon as the mask gives him power, he starts immediately wearing army fatigues and being like really abusive to his girlfriend. He's not a
Oh
likable
Jesus.
character at all. I think Jim Carrey would be
no.
better playing him now that he's had all that like dramatic experience and he's got all that like tragedy on his face.
I agree. Maybe they'll do a remake.
Compliment sandwich though, I'm going to say one thing I really liked about this movie is that I felt that the visual effects held up, and
Hmm.
possibly because he's supposed to be a cartoon, so maybe that's the bar. But I felt that at no time did the visual effects take me out of the movie, which a lot of times in a movie that's older they will.
I agree. Yeah, the effects were really good. And I remember they were really good when I first saw it. I was like, I felt like I was tripping or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they hold up. There's a
Yeah,
line
that
that
was
I thought was a little weird. He gets hit by a car, and then he's like, "Look, Ma, I'm roadkill!" Ha ha ha!
oh yeah.
And it's like, I just imagine like mothers who have kids who've been like hit by cars, just like seeing that,
Horrible.
just being like so fucking disturbed by it. Like that's where my mind went,
Yeah.
and I had to share. But yeah.
I'm always surprised at that this PG-13 like family movie tried so hard, but they included a scene where the mask goes back to the auto garage and shoves mufflers up the asses of both the mechanics.
Who seemed to be
Full,
having
full
a
on.
nice dinner. Like when he gets into the garage, like it looks like they're on a date. Like the
It
They have a very
does.
tablecloth is
close
out,
working
the
Yeah.
candles
relationship.
are on. Yeah, it seems like, you know, they're which makes it even worse, really, that they're anally raped. I mean, I'm
That's auto shop romance right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
If, if
that
He's
was
if it
hard
turns
to
out that they were gay, that was a hate crime.
exactly.
So,
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
oh,
it
yeah, I
seems a
would
little
disagree with that.
homophobic if like the joke is like, oh look, they're a couple, and now they both get raped by inanimate mufflers. It's just like, yeesh.
I don't think they're trying to make him look like a gay couple. I just think that's a unfortunate coincidence. I just didn't like the idea. Yeah, that's one part I remembered about the movie is like he's such a violent character and like the epitome of like the violence he can cause you being like super way too aggressive and unnecessary is having a muffler shoved up your ass.
Yeah, yeah, that's about
Yeah,
as
that's
hardcore as it gets.
yeah,
Did
that's
anyone
mean.
else feel like he
That's
was endangering Cameron Diaz's life with the way that he was just spinning and throwing her around like
spinning.
in the dancing
Yeah,
sequence?
I did. I was
Yeah, also,
yeah, he was
people are trying
flipping
to
her
murder
around
him and
like a
he's
rag
dancing
doll.
with her. So,
Yeah, right. Yeah, a stray bullet could end her life.
he does
Uh,
not care about her well being.
yeah, he could have
No,
broken something if he had really been dancing like that. It's not realistic.
it's true. Especially when he flips her up in the air so many times that it's like she she would have come apart in pieces if he
Hmm.
flipped her in the air like that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that because he's getting it slick and being slick, but then he shows off and like she just turns into a mid air blur,
yeah,
and you're just like, okay, that was a little too much showing off there. You could have hurt her.
yeah. That would have broken her spine.
Snapped her
It
neck
would
like
have
a
broken her
twig.
spine.
Yep, mixed her brain
Yeah.
up into mush. Uh, like her
Is
skull
it?
was
You
the
know
inside
what's
of a blender.
No good.
You know, it's unfortunate for Cameron Diaz is like every time I see her face, I'm gonna think of Ben Stiller having jizz in his hair. So like it goes from her face to instantly Ben Stiller like with jizz in his hair.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Uh,
I
I love when the dog gets the
Uh,
cheese instead of the keys.
yeah, that's a part I remembered as well.
That's my favorite part.
yeah.
It's just such a dumb joke.
He had so many puns. He was like a super like alcoholic dad who's like really trying hard to be fun. Like everything he said in that movie was like either a pun or like I would kind of wanted to talk about like the slightly schizophrenic nature of him, where like the whole movie he's like redoing common monologues from movies, like
Yeah,
filler scenes.
yeah,
That was one part I really liked about the movie because it's like he's a theatric character too. He's always trying to entertain pretty much as well as spin around in circles. If he's not, then I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, he's always like, "You think I can go on? You gotta," or
yeah,
it was cool to see him as like a reproduction of American cinema in a kind of weird meta way that traveled underneath the whole movie. Like that was a constant thing throughout the movie, is him uh doing monologues, lots of monologues.
It seems like this movie suffers from being in the wrong genre. It seems like they tried to make it parts of it like a romantic comedy. I can almost the first couple scenes with Jim Carrey, you can almost hear like a test audience being like, "We don't find him likable, and he needs to be more likable," you know,
Yeah,
because he's. I feel like it would work better if he feels all unappreciated and then he gets the mask and decides he's gonna take revenge, and everybody is appropriately terrified because he has all the powers of a god and is stupid.
yeah. So, darker would
yeah,
probably be better. I thought that the darkest moment was when they're at the newspaper place and they take him up to like the print and they're gonna toss his body like into the newspaper printer. And I just thought it was like so ironic because like he's being killed because he was like turning into a cartoon, and the way that they were going to kill him was by like smushing his body like into newspaper print, which like has cartoons on it. So I felt like there's a little bit of like Marshall McLuhan esque like print constellated world being referenced in the way
Did you
that
get the impression that they'd done it before? That they'd like smushed people up into the newsprint
oh
like a routine
yeah,
thing,
and then that
or
never
that he
occurred to
just
me.
thought of it?
That's a great question.
wouldn't it
Yeah.
get all the wouldn't it get all the newspapers bloody and be like, who did it? All the newspapers are bloody.
Some of them have
The
hair,
All the
headlines
newspapers
like
are soaked in blood
bits of
before they
eyeball and
yeah.
yeah,
scrotum.
mystery
Just peel
death.
it back and there's a layer of skin. Just skin in a grate.
There's like a picture of like a missing person and like half their face is on the paper.
This is a good horror movie. I'm gonna write this down where it's like can be like called like Blood Press or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be the Huffington Post, right? Like the Huffington Post eats its writers alive from the inside out like a vampire and just kills them and spits them back out.
The last time I jacked into their matrix, I noticed that it was shaped exactly like a human skull. I don't think it's a coincidence.
It's the death of modern
Did
journalism.
you guys
That's what I see.
notice that there is a lot of smoking in this movie? Like 1994, I think of as a time like after Hollywood at least had said we shouldn't show everybody smoking cigarettes in every single scene of family movies, but this movie had a lot of cigarettes in it. Like where people are like, I just need a cigarette. Let me go ask the cigarette girl. It was very
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and
I
and
don't
it
think
was
they should
like
have ever taken.
cool.
Yeah,
the Mask is
they
smoking a
shouldn't
lot
have
of the
taken
time and
smoking
doing
out of
little smoke
movies.
tricks. He's doing heart-shaped smoke rings and little arrows that come out of his nose.
Yeah,
Little
it's
cigarette.
funny.
Oh, that's
Cameron
when he.
Diaz's character
Yeah.
seemed absolutely horrified with like all of his like weird French, the whole French approach. He was just like,
Yeah, that's what I was
"Oh,
gonna say.
fuck." And then like he
Yeah,
sits down next to her, takes a drag from his cigarette and blows it out, and then there's like an arrow with a heart, you know, and suddenly she's like ready. that's what cracks the case, you know.
Knockout gas.
Some
There's some kind of
some magic.
aphrodisiac knockout gas. Pixie
Yeah,
dust.
yeah. Or like, you
Yeah,
know, a
roofies.
magician trick,
Yeah,
you know. Can you
He just
imagine?
breathes out date rape drugs.
That's possible and terrifying.
it is. Yeah, he's definitely creepy. That was kind of like I wondered about that part of the movie. So I was like, it's not clear if she does or doesn't know that it's the same guy, but like, you know, he goes back there and then like pops out 10 seconds later. So I don't know how she wouldn't know it was him. Maybe she does, but yeah, he gets it's funny because that lady should have never told him to be both on that date, you know?
Well,
He didn't have to rely on sexy smoke rings when he was just being himself, you
yeah,
know?
but
The
the
thing
thing that
about the
I
mask.
remembered watching this is that she doesn't really like him in the beginning. She's trying to get video footage of the bank so that they can rob it. But then after he robs the bank as the mask, she sees him and now she really does like him. Or because in that first scene when she's nice to him, it's because she's trying to case the bank for the for her boyfriend.
You know, I knew
Yeah,
she
there
was
was a
up to
lot of
something.
unclear. There's a lot of unclear emotional relationships in this movie. That was a little little frustrating. Would you guys put on the mask if you had it?
Hell yeah.
You would?
Mhm.
Okay. I think I would too. I would like to think I could resist it, but it's like cocaine. If it's there, I just
Well,
can't.
let me ask you this that the mask does not address. Can you uh can you be intoxicated as the mask? So like let's say if your personality is addictive, are you able to can the mask be an alcoholic or is the powers of the mask its own power and all else dwarfs beneath it?
I think the
Cuz I
mask
wouldn't
is its own
I think
substance.
I wouldn't want the mask to, make me use drugs or alcohol to a superheroic extent.
that's I actually have this joke where I talk about the mask as the addiction factor where and he goes like PART why because I got to or else I'll go through severe withdrawals and have to admit to my parents that I have a serious problem with drugs. But yeah, he's theatric as fuck. But yeah, I agree. He is like cocaine, and the guy who's most like cocaine at a party usually has cocaine. But you kind of just end up hanging out with because you want the cocaine. But I think if I hung out with a mask for more than I just wouldn't, you know, I would. I hate to say it, but I might even call the police.
I mean, there's like we've all
I'd say this
encountered
guy's a
real
threat.
life guys that are like the mask, you know, where there's just nothing stopping them. That's like they've got this momentum that like would go through a ton of bricks, and you want them to fucking die, you know. I mean, maybe it's just me, but like I've definitely encountered people where I'm just like, do you ever fucking stop and just think or like look at yourself, like so yeah, I agree. The mask would
Yeah.
be a pain in the ass to be around, and at the same time, I would absolutely use the mask and you know, rob a bank or I mean, that's I don't know, maybe
Could the mask dismantle capitalism?
No,
maybe.
one man can't.
Not even with superpowers.
I mean, like if he had the power to make gold, he could like make so much gold that the IMF would like get collapsed because it would drive down the value of the you know, the gold standard or something. I
What if the
mean,
mask just kept robbing that bank over and over, and then robbing all the other banks, and then returning the money to the people? Robin Hood
That'd be
situation.
smart.
The mask
That'd be a good hustle.
dismantling
That'd be a
capitalism.
strong hustle right
yeah.
there. Yeah. What if he turned his I got a what if. What if he couldn't make gold, but he could turn himself into gold. So he found a way to do it where he like turned his arm into gold, but then he had to cut off his arm. And that's what I'm wondering about the same addiction thing with the mask. Like would he feel pain if he cut off his own cut off his own arm to stop capitalism?
I think it might grow
I don't know.
back. It seems
I
like
feel
Yeah,
like
his
it
that's
would
true.
body
too.
is also invincible when he has the mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has control of his body. That's really what he has control of. He doesn't have like brainwash techniques or you know, an invisibility cloak. He just has the ability to move really fast. I don't think unless he just ripped like right across the country, taking out all the industrial buildings, you know, to end capitalism. That might work. It might work. Might take a while though.
I love the scene where they're just taking stuff out of his pockets, and it's all like joke store stuff until they get to the
Yeah,
bazooka, and then a picture of the
that's a
policeman's wife. Great stuff.
Yeah, the policeman's
that's a
wife was
classic gag.
Very silly.
so good.
Classic gag. Yeah. You could reuse that gag again and again. I wouldn't get sick of it. Just, you know, unexplainable things found inside of pockets.
It was a true modern Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I was about to just say, or I was thinking about that earlier. If there was one adjective I would use to describe the mask, it would be murdery. Murdery.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw him, I would say, "Ooh, I don't know about that guy. Like that smile looks like, yeah, he's psychopathic.
And
He's a
he's always rubbing
psychopath.
his
Wouldn't he
teeth.
Yeah, he's a
Why would you do that?
psychopath. He does. He rubs his teeth.
Yeah, he's like he grinds his jaw. He's like, yeah, I can't even
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
you're right.
Anytime I see him do it, I'm like, ugh. Like I like
That's
to
a
eat
sign
ice
of
cubes and
anger.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the mask turns everybody's teeth weird because it gives Jim Carrey the giant teeth, and then evil guy also has giant bad teeth. Even the dog gets like weird
Yeah,
sort
that
of
big
fangs going.
sharp
So
grin. Yeah.
that's part of it. You gotta. I could be wrong about
So
this, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Jim Carrey said that the dentures, the giant dentures for this, were like fairly painful to wear for a specific for an extended period of time.
I can only imagine.
So, would you guys, if you knew that the mask was going to give you powers and you could use it whenever and keep it, but even when you didn't have the mask on, your teeth were all fucked up, would you still would you still do the mask? Like really bad teeth, like a chipped tooth, you know, like a country Billy Bob
The
chews dip all day
The
teeth.
mask is like crystal meth. It just like rots your teeth exponentially.
Just erodes your
every
gums.
every
Yeah.
time you do it.
Oh, so
Pretty
you
soon
take the
you're
mask
just-
off and your teeth are fucked up?
Yeah.
Your
Oh
teeth are
no,
still fucked up.
I would not do that.
Yeah.
Teeth are important. Have you ever had like even one tooth be fucked up? It totally affects the way you interact with people.
Daily
You're
life,
you're not
yeah.
smiling and you're
Even
Yeah.
even a dream about your teeth is like bad news.
symbolizes loss
Yeah.
of power.
Yeah.
It does. I've chipped this same tooth, the same tooth 4 times in the same spot. So it shows I just, like, if you were to read that symbolically, it would just be, I don't learn from my mistakes. You know, keep on chipping the same part of the same tooth. What's going on here?
Well,
Stupid.
I think maybe we should wrap up. Unless you guys want to
Yeah.
take a
Like
break and then come back. But
I gotta
I,
cook dinner,
I'm
but
good. Do you think we
Yeah.
gave our? Do you think we gave our viewers what they needed today?
I thought that we were filling into a great rhythm of repartee.
I agree. Yeah. I always
What
enjoy
movie-
these, even if
Me too.
HuffPo takes them out with their
Oh,
microwave radiation
What's our
beams.
next movie, boys?
Oh,
What's
good
our
question.
next movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
have you guys seen How to Get Ahead in Advertising?
no.
No, I'll watch that.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Uh,
write that down because otherwise I won't remember.
It's a great film. You guys are in for a treat. I love this
Yeah.
movie.
Is it a documentary or?
No, it's like a strange fiction, almost body horror thing about this guy who he works at an advertising agency and he just becomes consumed with his work. It's so good.
Awesome.
All right. So, how to become? What's it called? How to become?
How to get ahead in advertising?
Yep.
Totally had it wrong. How to get ahead in advertising. Folks.
Well, I wrote
You
it
should
down.
watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Should we
Sweet.
sign out?
Peace.
All right.
Hello, cool
How to
Jay.
get ahead in advertising. This is Western Mass Comedy Group. Stay in the loop. You Snoop. I'm Ezra. We got Jason and Ryan.
Thank
Stay
you. I love
tuned.
you.
I love all of you.
Hello, cool Jay.
And
Welcome.